Austin.
Hello, everybody. Can you believe it? We're on week 6. It's amazing. We're already on week 6. It's the last week. It's so sad. It's a short week, too, right? You guys remember it's a short week? Yeah, Chef, it's a short week. Oh, okay, good. Whew, I'm so glad that you guys remember that. And you'll notice I am still in Massachusetts, and my dad did a wonderful job of putting a vent right next to the desk. So you'll notice my music video hair going in the background. Well, because of the vent blowing directly on me. It's a fun little added bonus to the live session. So this week we are talking about menus. How awesome is that? I love menus. But remember, this is a short week, right? Important items to remember. Your assignments are going to be due on Sunday. Makeups are due tonight. So if you have your makeup assignment, get those in. So remember, Sunday, Sunday, Sunday. And Chef Suzanne, how were all of the assignments looking for last week?
Saw some really great assignments from last week. I was actually pleasantly surprised at some of the amazing creativity for these burgers. I know that was not supposed to be the most important part of that assignment, but holy cow, some of these burgers, the creativity and utilizing lots of cross-utilization, where I could tell that when someone opened up the Cafe Luke menu and looked at all of the other ingredients on it and then kind of twisted it a little bit and then put it on a burger. And I saw lots of French bread, because I believe there was other French bread on that menu. So there was just lots and lots of creativity. I think the biggest issue that I saw was if there wasn't consistency in menu prices. So if you put down that you would sell the burger at Le Cochon for $6 and pretty much even the soup on the menu was more than that, then probably wasn't a very consistent price. And you also needed to explain how the food and labor cost impacted the price that you chose. Kind of like last week also involved the food and labor costs. This one did too. It's kind of the same thing this week. But in general, I think most of the grades are really good. I'm almost done. I don't have a whole lot left to grade. So they're looking pretty awesome. And there's a lot of burgers that I'm kind of looking forward to maybe seeing on a menu one day. So well done, creative folks.
Awesome. That's fantastic. So just remember, get your assignments in, get that makeup assignments are due tonight. The surprise is for all of you delightful people who showed up, if you get your assignments in on time if you get your assignment done by Saturday night, 11:59 p.m., I am going to see if you guys had a late assignment, you guys turned something in late where you're like, oh, I'm missing 15 points because I turned it in late. I'm going to go through and see which grade you needed a little boost in and give you a boost, whether it was on a makeup assignment, maybe your discussion. So I will, if you were late on an assignment and you were down 15, if you turn in your assignment early by Saturday, 11:59 p.m. Central Standard Time, you will get a little grade boost on one of your assignments or discussions or one of those things that you need a little help with. How does that sound?
Thank you, Chef, so much. I need that at this point in time.
Yeah, so remember, but you got to get it. If you want it, you have to turn it in by Saturday, 11:59 p.m. Central Standard Time. And also remember, another thing for your to get extra credit is the survey. Do not forget to fill out that survey. And remember, when you're looking at the survey, don't just say why I am horrible, or don't say I'm horrible, say why I'm horrible. Those kind of things help us make and improve the class. So please use descriptions, clear, concise descriptions. And description is a key part of making your beautiful menu, right? You like how I tied that in? Boom. How are you going to wow people with your menu, with your layout? What are you going to do to make people say, wow, I want to eat here? You have to worry about choosing the right menu layout, understanding all the differences. This isn't pretty. You cannot read it. You want more something like this. And a big thing an especially big thing I want to make certain that you guys know is doing more than just a special. A lot of times people are like, something's not selling. What am I going to do? I know, I'll make it a special. That's not always the approach that you should use. Don't just make a special out of something. Right, Chef Suzanne?
Yes. Most of us, when we think specials, are thinking discounts. And that's not always the best course of action. And we'll talk definitely more about that today. But giving things away and lowering prices isn't always going to guarantee that you'll bring in more business just because you lower the price on something. Just because you give away free samples doesn't necessarily mean you're going to bring in more business. So ultimately, we're all in this to make money. So you're looking for cost-saving methods that aren't going to cost you.
Exactly. And it's important to understand menu and your menu design. There's such a science that goes behind this that many people have done. And it's a great benefit to you because that work has been done. It's just about finding the research and finding the information. So when you're looking at what your sales are, these are some great ratios to look at where 66% of food is being sold is like on your menu is the food being sold. 34% is going to be your beverages, and then it breaks down the type of beverages. Don't forget, some people love those mixed drinks. I was talking about Bar Louie, right? Bar Louie did for the 50 Shades of Grey. They did the Red Room Martini. They did a twist to bring people in. They do that a lot with different movies that come out, like the Star Wars movies that we talked about before I started recording, how they had like the good versus the evil, the red martini versus the blue martini, because, the red lifesavers versus the blue, like all that kind of stuff. Even though Samuel L. Jackson needed the purple, right? You guys know he needed purple? Yeah.
I think Yoda's is green. And I feel like if I get that wrong, my husband may divorce me. So I'm just going to assume it's green, but.
No, that's fantastic. Well, and so that's where, knowing your type of, remember we talked about target market. What's your concept going to be? What location are you at? Remember when we talked all about the fun demographic, you found the broad demographic, and now you're toning it down and to find your target market, and you're making certain that you are matching the needs, your restaurant's concept with the needs of your market. And it's all about your menu, right? Because that, remember, is that first moment of truth, that people are going to look at your menu. So that's why it's so important to put a lot of thought and effort into your design. What type, like the fonts and the colors, all of those type of things are really, really important, especially for your establishment, and especially for making certain that everything is going to match. And understanding the ratios and the numbers is a really, really important part. Because, it's always fun to pick out like what type of font you're going to use and the colors, but it's equally as important to understand your numbers and to understand what's selling and what's not and how you can change it to make it be a better seller. So How many people have been to the places where you have this big old giant menu and it's huge and there's so many different items on it that it's like mind-boggling, right? It's too much. Too much to go through. So remember, like, you want to have like the maximum, if you're doing it, ideal is 7 appetizers, 7 entrees, 7 desserts. Because you also don't want to kill your kitchen, right? You don't want to have it so they have to make 50 different things. And that's why it's so important to understand that, 16% of your menu items could potentially equal 80% of your food sales. And it's all about how you present it. Because remember, with menus, it's the whole psychology of menus and menu design. People are coming to your establishment. Now you have the power to tell them how to think, what to pick. And it's all about how you design your menu, is how you are going to make them look and say, oh yeah, I want to have this, I want to have that. Those are important things that you need to consider, especially because a good chunk of people don't actually read menus. It's being scanned. And remember, do you guys remember when I talked about that 109 seconds? Do you guys remember that 109 seconds? What was the 109 seconds that I talked about?
How long somebody takes to look at the menu on average.
Exactly. How long it takes for somebody to look at your menu. And this right here is a beautiful representation of an eye scan, because somebody has already did the science for you. They've done the analyzation of like where people look and how they go about looking. And you need to make certain that you understand that people only scan menus. They're not going to read the whole thing. They're going to look at the different parts. So you have that control to be able to make them focus their eyes on the items that you want them to focus on. So what would be a way that you would want how would you make somebody focus on an item on your menu? What would you do?
Shape
So
like
the diagram, you would put
star.
the pictures in the corners of your diagram.
Yeah, pictures in the corners. I heard
a box around it.
A box around it, right? What else would you guys want to do?
Have
Shape, colors.
the colors of the most important products you want to sell are brighter than the rest.
Yep. The colors are really, really important, right? And it's also, remember, it's good to know, like, it's so important to make certain that your menu reflects the theme and concept of your place. You're not going to go to a Michelin star rated restaurant and order off of a wall. You're going to expect to have a actual proper menu that's going to look the part. So it's really, really important that you decide your menu and your layout on your style of restaurant. So remember when we talked about last week about the ultra dining and fine dining and casual and the different buffet services and all that stuff. This is where that comes in, because you want everything to tie together. And you also want to remember that, there's different styles of menus, right? It's not just the billboard. Remember we talked about like the du jour menu and all of those ones. It's also what type of paneling are you going to use? Single panel format is one that, the entire menu contains a single page, right? It's just that one big old page. And then you have, let me share my screen again with you guys, because that single panel will tell you where they're going to start looking. Where are people going to focus when they're looking at your menu? If you have the one panel, the single page, they're going to start at the top, right? They're going to focus on that top aspect. Then you have where you have like the 2-page or like the single fold menus, and the 2 panels versus the 3. Oh no, I went too far. It's good to know these things so you understand where people are going to look first. If you have different styles of panels, you're going to have people looking in different areas. And that's where it's going to really determine the scan path for your customers. And then we talked about colors, fonts. Who was it that talked about colors and fonts? Somebody did. It was Paul. Paul, you talked about the colors and fonts. And you'll notice that there's different ones. When people see green, they typically think it's going to be more healthy, right? Green may be that vegetarian option or that gluten-free, something healthy, you know? Versus blue, you definitely see a lot more like seafood, right? And then you have your different fonts. And the different fonts is a really, really important aspect because one, you have your brand. Your brand needs to stick out, right? That's your image. That's your logo. Like you want that to be, you want that to stand out because that is your establishment. Then you have what they call primary fonts. And those fonts are going to be like the headers. And then you have your secondary font. And your secondary font is for the body of the menu. Why do you think you should have different fonts?
To show what's more important, what's more important, and stuff like that.
What's more important, and then what else?
To draw attention to that item.
It draws attention to that item. So what if everything was the same exact font on your menu? What ends up happening?
It would be confusing.
Bland.
Yeah, it'd be bland. It'd be confusing because everything is the same. Nobody knows where to focus on that menu. So that's why. What did you say, Amy?
They'd have a hard time ordering.
Yeah, they'd have a hard time ordering. So that's why it's important to understand like the type of font that you're going to use. And now your primary font could be like, I'm going to use Arial bold for my primary font, but then I'm just going to use regular Arial for my secondary font. Those type of things are fine. And you also want to make certain that your font and the color matches your theme. So if you were going to open a like Mexican themed restaurant, you're going to have vibrant colors, right? They have a lot of turquoise, you got the reds, greens, all those purples. So you may want to use some of these colors in your menu versus you're not going to see vibrant colors at a French bistro, right? So you want to make certain that your colors also match the theme of your restaurant, like the pictures that you're using, those kind of things. That's very important. And it's also the type of font that you use will be reflective on your place as well, because you're going to use a different font for that French bistro than you may for that Mexican restaurant. And it also will depend on the style too. Remember that ultra high dining versus the American casual. That may have a different font because you're going for a different environment and theme. So there are people, for those who may be like, oh my God, I didn't realize there's so much to deal with fonts. There are people who can help you, who will like help you like market it and create these layouts and all that kind of stuff. There are also fantastic websites that you guys can go off of, which we give you links to, that you can use to help you design your own menu. And a really, really important part of this too, with when you're picking your fonts and your colors and the pictures and all those kind of things, is making certain that it's consistent. You don't want to have like from the paper to the computer to your phone app, you want to make certain it's the same. Like if you're using a primary font, like that Arial bold, you're not going to do all of a sudden on your website Times New Roman. You want to make certain it's always consistent. No matter the platform that you have your menu on, it needs to be consistent. Because there have been often times, especially in the beginning, it's not as bad. I'm going to also ask you, Chef Suzanne, if you've seen this. It's not as bad as before, but especially when the apps started where you could see the menu, there was like a lot, like I've noticed there was like a lot of problems with like menus where all of a sudden you're like, okay, cool, I'm going to look at it on my phone. And then on your phone, it's all jumbled in like, you know, pictures are on top of words and it doesn't, like, it's all a whole mess. But I don't see it nearly as much anymore, but I do see it more often with new businesses. So because they're new, they may not know it. So that is a problem. So that's why it's really, really important to make sure that everything is consistent from that piece of paper all the way to your phone. Have you noticed that, Chef?
Oh yeah, and you see it in newer businesses or you see it in older businesses where they've been around a long time and just haven't bothered to update that. But a lot of people want to see a menu before they go somewhere, and it doesn't really fill you with hope when you look at a menu and the pictures and the words are all jumbled up and starts on one column and goes to the other. So being able to have things that are easy to look at and user-friendly, whether it be on a website or whether it be on an app or an attachment on Yelp, you know, being able to see those things is really important because you want, you know, that may be the only chance that you get for someone to see anything about your business is your menu online or on a phone, and you want to make sure that it's looking its best.
Yeah, and that's also so it's so important because I definitely have walked into establishments where I was like, okay, cool. Like I'm going to take over and I'm going to start running stuff. And then I look and I'm like, wow, it's like the first website that's ever been created. Like that is still here. Like we need to update. We need to fix this. And it's the same thing with your menu too. You always want to keep, like you don't want to print out a new menu every single day, but you want to make certain that you're keeping up to date. And making sure that it's still fitting with your concept and your theme and the technology. And white space is another part. We talked about putting a box around it, right? Putting a box around something creates that white space around that item that helps make that stand out. Those are kind of things you want to think about when you're doing the pictures in colors and all of that. Like where are you going to put a picture versus not? And being descriptive is key. You want to have a clear and concise description. A good description, like as it shows, can increase your sale by 30%. And it's also about your wording. What type of wording are you going to use? Because you want to stay away from using like slang or, you know, like let's use like proper English and let's use some enticing words. What are some enticing words that you guys have seen in menus?
Fresh.
Fresh. Perfect. That's a great one. What else?
Savory, delicious.
Savory, delicious. What else?
Organic.
Succulent.
Organic. You talk about like, you know, slow roasted, cooked, like cooked to perfection, that tender and juicy. Like those are those enticing words that you want to make certain that people pick up on, and using a great description will help you with that. It's also really important, and I wanted to bring up, was the geographic distinctions for wording, because how many people know like the champagne versus sparkling, or I put sparkling water, I meant to put sparkling wine, champagne versus sparkling wine. What's the difference?
You have to have a special license to use the word champagne.
Yeah, because it has to come from it's from a special region, like it's
France.
the Champagne region in France.
Yeah.
So it's very much like horse breeding and dog breeding and all those ones. They like some certain, like Holsteiner is a breed of horse that originated in a certain region in Germany. Like those are things you always have to think about when you're looking at what you're gonna, like if you're gonna use the wording, like prosciutto di Parma. That one I can tell you, and I will send you the link because it's an absolutely fabulous video that I love watching. It's like a 12-minute video. And they're like, it's in these 9 distinctive regions of Italy, and it has to go through these certain standards and specifications to get it to be that di Parma. It can't just be prosciutto, like it is di Parma because of all of the regulations and the standards that they are tested by and certified by. So it's really, really important to make certain if you're going to use something like Roquefort cheese. Roquefort blue cheese is only called Roquefort blue cheese because it has to be special, specially be in Roquefort, France, where they have these caves that create the bacteria and the mold that are specific to that cheese. So you cannot just say, you can't buy blue cheese from the store and like a Stilton and then decide to call it Roquefort. So be careful of the wording that you do use for those kind of things. Because all of this stuff that we talked about, the wording, your menu layout, all that stuff can help you determine how profitable and how popular your items are going to be. And we have the star, as you guys see, the star, I'm a star. Nobody? Okay. I can't remember that movie it's from. But that's high popular, high profitable. Not everything on your menu is always going to be high popular and high profitable. So it's how are you going to determine how to fix these issues to help them along? Then you have your workhorses. Those are popular, but they're low profitability. Puzzles are not popular, but they're very profitable. And then there's dogs. Dogs are low popularity and they're low profitability. Now, how many people would say, I'm just going to get rid of the dog? I have a dog, I'm just going to get rid of it. Some people, yes. Amy, I see your question. Give me 1 sec. But you can't always get rid of that dog. That dog, you need to help figure out a way to make that dog bloom. What are we going to do to fix that dog?
Get a more high profitability dog.
What did you say?
Get a more high profitability dog.
But sometimes
that would be changing the item. So assuming you can't take it off the menu, let's say you've already printed out all your menus and you just got them and realize you got a dog on there. And so it may not be as easy as swapping out a menu or to take it completely off the menu because, we've all seen the weird highlighted, marked out menus. So what is some things you could maybe do to change that dog to try and improve the popularity or the profitability? So I guess, Chef, let's say profitability first. So what are some things you could do that might help improve the profitability of that dog?
Change the ingredients in the cooking process.
Okay. So when you say change the ingredients, what are you thinking?
I'm thinking spices, or take out an ingredient that's not palatable to most people.
Well, we don't necessarily know if there's anything. Maybe the menu item is still good, just the way it is. So what are some other things we could do as far as changing the ingredients?
Lowering the cost of the ingredients.
Lower the cost of the ingredients. So how could you lower the cost of the ingredient?
Maybe make it instead of ordering it. Make it in-house instead of ordering it offline, or
okay, that may be an option. Maybe making some of the ingredients from scratch. What else?
Smaller maybe finding portions. Another purveyor.
Smaller portions, another purveyor. So different ways to help with profitability is typically looking for ways to lower the food cost. What about popularity? And I know Chef was just talking about that. So what are some things you can do that can help improve the popularity of that dog?
Promote differently on the menu.
Promote it differently on the menu. That is a great example. Right?
Yeah.
Move it to the top of the menu, put asterisks by it, put a box around it, highlight it, do whatever you can to even advertise it as a chef special, because it's going to bring, people are going to look at that and be like, oh, it's a chef special. I think I should try that.
But remember, you don't always want to rely on special.
Right.
Because special associates it being a lower cost. And if you lower that cost, it's not.
You have to be really careful with special, because sometimes we associate like, oh, all these green beans are on special at the store, meaning they've been here a really long time and they need to get rid of them.
Yeah, leftovers.
Right?
Yeah.
So sometimes, we associate, we've all seen the green beans after Thanksgiving. All of a sudden there's like big old end caps, like 7 million cans of green beans. And you're like, I'm going to buy a couple now, but in another month, I don't want any of these green beans. They've been around a while. Right. Yeah. So sometimes we associate special because it's not really special. So
a great example, actually from Chef Tyson, was how he had this pumpkin mousse dessert. And nobody was ordering it. And he was like, okay, we're going to change the presentation, the plating presentation. So he put it in a gourd and made it super fancy, made it look really, really pretty. And then he sent one out. And it wasn't going to anybody, but it was going out. And then everybody was like, oh my God, what is that? Ooh, like that looks fantastic. What is that? Just having that change in presentation helps boost up that popularity and the price, right? And not price, but profitability. So think of those type of things, like how are you going to maybe change the presentation? Are you going to get your wait staff to talk it up? And then sometimes, you're always going to, like, there's always going to be something that may be considered a dog on your menu. But remember, sometimes a dog is a good thing. Like if you have chicken nuggets on the menu, like that might not be profitable or popular, but for a parent who is like, okay, well, at least I know that there's chicken nuggets on there. So if my kid doesn't have anything else, I know there's chicken nuggets. Like we'll go there because they have chicken nuggets. Like that's fine. I'm not going to order chicken nuggets, but I brought my kid there because there's chicken nuggets. Even though my kid may show up and then all of a sudden be like, I want a pizza, or like, like I want hummus, like they change their mind. But you always know that you're like, okay, well, there's that fall to like, we have chicken nuggets. Okay, let's just go there. Okay. So remember, like, it's not always a bad thing to have that dog, because that dog may help bring you other guests and they will eat other food that might be a star, or, like they may go for something else. So, Amy, what was your question while you still have your hand raised?
Okay, so my question was, I get where you're saying the dog, the star, the mule horse, or whatever. But my thing is, who came up with the concept of the names of the dog, the star, the horse? Like, what do they mean? What is the representation of the actual picture? Like the mule horse. Like, does that mean it takes a lot of time and a lot of work, but it's easy? Or, like, what came up with the dog and the star and all that?
Well, I can tell you this. I do not know who came up with the different
It's
names.
actually, you actually see it in retail and things too. I actually have taken business classes, and these showed up in business classes also that weren't culinary related. So it's just something that I don't know, it's been around a long time. I don't know either.
Yeah, it's been there since, like I've been to culinary school. So it's just that thing, like a star, that's like, all right, that's a go-getter. That's a good one. Your workhorse, that's the one that's working to death because everybody loves it, but you're getting paid peanuts for it, and then the dog is, when bad dog kind of, scenario. And then your puzzle, you're like, why is this not working? What can I do to fix it? Like you're trying to figure out, because you're like, okay, it's profitable, but why doesn't anybody like it? Like, what do I got to do? So we're going to talk about things to avoid. Making it hard to read, right? That is something that is really, really, really important. Like we talked about using the primary font versus secondary font, all those things. Making your price stand out, because some people believe that like, oh, I'm going to put a $sign. But remember, when you're talking about $sign, like if you put a $sign in there, everybody's going to be fixated on the price, and you don't want them fixated on the price. You want them thinking about the experience that they're about to have. So not putting a $sign there is really, really important, because then you can have them focus on, it's not about the price, it's about the description, the experience that they're about to have, because this is going to be the most amazing meal of their lives, like that kind of thing. Like you want them to focus on that, not that it's going to cost $100. You want them thinking, oh, it only costs $100 for this memorable experience that I'm always going to have. And it's going to be a positive, memorable experience, right? We're not going to have a service failure. We're going to have a wow factor. And so I found these different websites that I actually liked for you guys. And I especially liked it because it, like this one, the restaurant design fails, because it gives you the reason why it's not working and a picture to go with it. So the inconsistent layout, it's kind of all over the place. Your eye does not know where to go here. It's just kind of a mess. You don't know where to focus. No one's going to know where to actually look, that kind of thing. And then this one has the text is all over the place. It doesn't have a good flow. Everything is like, all of a sudden there's like, this is highlighted, but then this stuff is all big caps, while this stuff is not big caps. And then it's kind of all inconsistent. And with your menu, you really want to make certain that it's consistent. And they also do $signs, which I am not a fan of $signs. They also have it where it has $14 and it's just 14. And then over here they have 17 with the two little zeros. Like you need to have one or the other. You can't just have 14 and then 1700. Like you need to make certain it's one or the other. And then this one that I gave as an example, because pictures can be great. Pictures can help sell your food. But if you do something like this, no one's going to be able to read the menu. So you want to make certain that you pick pictures that are actually going to benefit you. And it doesn't mean that like a picture can be great, but you don't want to have a picture for every single menu item. You want to make certain that it's nice and it looks pretty. A great example I have here is this one. They have pictures of stuff, but it's not pictures of every single thing. It's pictures that they picked and chose, and you're like, wow, that looks really great. That looks fabulous. I want to eat that. But you're not going to have that for every single menu item, because then it turns into a giant mess, right? And then here, once again, the prices stand out. You don't want people, remember, we're talking about the experience. We don't want them thinking about the price. We want them to think about the experience they're having. And then you have this delightful thing where it's just kind of it's just a mess, like where are you supposed to focus on? Which part are you supposed to do? And then I love this bad translation, because it's so important to remember your spelling. You want to make certain not only that you use Word for your spelling, but have somebody else read it, because Word may not pick up on every single spelling item, because some things could be spelled correctly, but you just put them in the wrong context. So like perfect example is like the there, and there, right? like the they are, they're, like all of that stuff. You want to make certain that you actually spell things correctly and that you don't have this either. Look at, isn't this great? This is like all dogs right here. How are you supposed to be able to read this, let alone be able to look at this? And this is another thing when you're thinking about your menu size, because you have like Cheesecake Factory, they have a million things on their menu. And that is a lot of time that a customer has to look at that menu and think about what are they going to eat. And that is more time being spent on a menu and less time of them enjoying the food, which means there's more time of them in that seat and less time for you to get a quick turnover. So think about your menu, like how big you are. That's where we came up with that 777. And then also remember to think about like the size of your menu. Like, are you going to make people feel like they're a little kid at a menu where it's like this giant thing that's super awkward and your table's not big enough for it, and you kind of feel like a little kid again, where you're like, God, this thing is like so big and I don't know, like it's just awkward to like hold and stuff. Because some people are like, okay, well, I'm going to have all these things on my menu and then I'm going to do this giant thing. And then I also put on here for you guys, like I loved this one also because it's great giving you, looking at the panels, all this stuff. And this is a pretty good looking menu, right? You guys like this menu? Do you think it looks good? So what if I told you that the duck shepherd pie is a dog? Ooh, where'd it go? That duck shepherd pie is a dog. How are you going to fix that? What are you going to do? How would you change this menu so that duck shepherd pie is no longer a dog?
More description of what it is.
Yeah, because that one doesn't have a description, right? What else would you guys do?
Replace
Star
one of
it
the
or put it
pictures.
in a different color.
Put it in a different color. What else? What was it,
Replace
Leanne?
one of the pictures.
Replace one of the pictures. What else would you guys do?
And move it up on the menu.
Move it up in the menu, right? And remember, there's always that psychology of like, oh, there's something super pricey. Always the most expensive stuff is usually at that top of that menu on that list, right? So then all of a sudden, you know, like if you have a $300 lobster next to a $20 steak, you don't really want people to order that $300 lobster. You may want them to order that steak. So, and having that next to each other, or no, not $20 steak, sorry, like a $70 steak. So $70 steak doesn't look as bad when it's compared to that $300 lobster, right? So that's part of that, making people think about what you want them to order. So this is another great one right here, these great examples I wanted to make certain that you guys had, and it's all in these links that I gave because I thought these were great resources to use. And I did see somebody raise their hand. Who rose their hand? I could have sworn I saw somebody raise their hand. Is that somebody? Nobody? Nobody? And then I also gave you guys a delightful epic menu fails for fun because, well, you know, it's just fun. And these are things that I was talking about where you want to make certain that you're looking at your proper English for these things. Viagra upon warp, you know, may not be the best thing to have for there. Like, don't do this hamburger with sheeps and cross it out and put chips. That's like a no-no. Don't do that for your menus. That's not good. Yeah. Diet Coke instead of Coke, you know, things like that. That's why, you know, word would not pick up on that, but a friend would. A nice friend that would actually help you. So just remember, so this is on here for you guys to enjoy. And And there's more websites for you guys that I think are really, really helpful. So please look at those. And then that brings us to our assignment this week, right? Remember, once again, assignments are due on Sunday at 11:59 p.m. Central Standard Time. And your makeup assignments are due tonight. So get those in. And did anybody make this face when they realized that it was the last week of class? Nobody? I get so excited about making these names. Like, all right, so Chef Suzanne, how is the assignment looking for tonight?
This one's kind of a fun one, I think. So let me share my screen here. All right, so when you go to look at this week's assignment in the assignment page, there is a template this week, so make sure that you look at that also. Of course, I didn't actually click on that, so let's try that again. There's the template. I knew I saw the word template, I just didn't want to click on it. All right, so it's basically just a handful of questions. All right, so you're going to see some sales data, which I'll show you in a second. And there's going to be some dogs, plow horses, and puzzles. And you're going to need to look at them all and then decide what you could suggest to the owners of Retro Asione Restaurant on how they could improve the popularity and profitability of a dog, the profitability of a plow horse, and then the popularity of a puzzle. All right, so now close that and let's actually look at the data sheet. All right, so this is what you'll be looking at. And do not freak out. No, I say that. Don't freak out when you see this. There is literally nothing for you to do on this page. It's just for you to look at. This is the data that you will use. All right, so when it says that you need to choose a dog from the menu, you'll say you may choose the Amish chicken. Then for the assignment, you'll need to explain how you would suggest to the owners of this restaurant how they could improve the dog in the form of the Amish chicken, looking at both popularity and profitability. All right, and so we talked about this just a few minutes ago. When you're looking at improving profitability, you're looking at offering them suggestions on how they can lower food costs, right? So you would give the owners suggestions on ways to lower the food costs. And in the case of the dog, you're also looking at the popularity. So when you're looking at the popularity, you're looking at those great suggestions everyone had on ways to make that item look and sound more appealing so more people want to order it. All right, so then you're also going to do the same thing with one of the puzzles and then one of the plow horses, right? We don't have to do anything with the star because it's already a star, right? It's already amazing. We don't have to do anything with it. All right, so you're looking at this and you're just going to pick a dog, explain how you believe it can be improved, pick a puzzle, pick a plow horse. And then you're going to explain how you think based on improving popularity and or profitability, depending on the item. And you're just going to explain why. Right? It's not nearly as scary looking because, like I said, that's just the data sheet. Don't change anything there. Just look at it. Just check it out. All right, so I'm going to go back to the assignment again real quick because right? So you're going to pick that Amish chicken, maybe, and then you're going to say how could the popularity, and remember, popularity, ways to make it look and sound more appetizing and appealing so more people want to order it. And when you're looking at profitability, you're looking at ways to lower food costs. So you're going to offer a suggestion to these owners of this restaurant on what they can do to help these. What don't you say? Get rid of the dog, right? Can't say that because we're going to try and fix it first, right? Down here on the bottom, question 4 is a little different. All right, so this, you're looking at the overall food cost on that menu, right? So, of course, I closed it. There's a food cost listed on that menu. I'll get to here in a second. And you're going to explain why or why not it is acceptable. And if it's not an acceptable food cost for that business, how do we fix it? So does everybody remember what an acceptable food cost is? While I pull up that thing again.
1/3.
28 to 32%. So
Okay.
33%.
Same damn thing. Let's try that again. Okay, there we go. All right, so we're looking 28 to 30-ish %, 32. All right, so if we look at this sheet with all of our menu mix information, it also shows our food costs percentage. All right, so here we're running, this restaurant is running a 40.42% food cost. All right, so for that last question, you would have to decide if that is acceptable or not. And if it's not acceptable, what would you suggest that they could do to fix it? So see, I've already sort of given you some information on that one, so that's cool, right? All right, so does anybody have any questions on that? No? It's not near as menacing looking as it is. It's just some information that you're going to, I'm gonna stop sharing here real quick, just some information that you're looking to just kind of analyze that data and offer them suggestions, right, for their business. All right, so I also have my own little PowerPoint presentation. Pretty excited about this because this is not my thing. So I'm gonna share this because it actually came up in this week's assignment, week 5, and then it'll actually show up in week 6. So I just want to go over this real quick. All right, so here's my very cool PowerPoint. So these are things that I think are a waste of money. What? These things are super wasteful. Manicures, pedicures, European vacations, soda, alcohol, big TVs, right? These things, silly. Mansions, stuff is just so silly. Why would anybody waste their money on all these things, right? It's crazy. Silly. Waste of money, right? Wrong, 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 wrong. Totally wrong. I'm just kidding, right? What you do with your money is totally up to you, right? It's your money. You can spend it however you want, right? So I'm going somewhere with this, so kind of follow me through here, right? So in this week 5 assignment, one of the things that you all had to do was come up with a burger and then give it a price that sort of fit in with the other menus that you saw. And I did see some people say things like, well, nobody's going to spend more than $5 on a burger, so I'm going to leave that burger on that Le Cochon menu at, $5, $10. But if you remember, most of the entrees on that menu were $26 to, I don't know, maybe $40. So again, you need to look at it from a consumer point of view, right? So as the customer, that sometimes I like a bargain. Sometimes I want to save money, right? Sometimes I'm going to splurge. So your customers are going to feel the same way. You all feel the same way. There are some things, and I don't hate those things on that first slide, right? Matter of fact, some of those things I absolutely love, right? But to some of you, those may have seemed like crazy things where some of you have been like, what? Well, no. I need my manicures, right? And like, she's crazy, right? So again, you need to look at this more from a culinary business perspective, right? So the great thing about our industry is there are lots of different opportunities, right? So we looked at it more just a second ago from a customer point of view. So now you're the owner, you're the chef. So now we're gonna look at it more from the chef point of view. Just because your business is only gonna have $5 burgers, that's cool because there is a want for that. There's people, your target market will be okay with that. But there are other businesses that someone else may have a totally different demographic, right? So they're going to offer totally different products. And this will make more sense in just a second in the next couple slides. So keep an open mind that just because you are not willing to do those things on certain food items, but maybe you're willing to spend a lot of money on a designer purse or sporting tickets that other people might think, that's crazy, why you do that, right? Everybody's money, you can do whatever you want with your money, right? This looks beautiful. Isn't that a pretty looking burger? Anybody see that? Burger with fries, so pretty, right? So some may think, I would never spend more than maybe $5 or $10, maybe $8 at Chili's on a burger, right? This here is a legit burger. All right, this is the DB Royale. It is a Daniel Boulou restaurant in, I believe he's got one in New York City and one in Vegas. That's a $120 burger. Let me go back so you can really let that soak in, okay? That's a $120 burger. People will spend $120 on that burger because of the experience and the ingredients in it, and that's okay, right? Some people are willing to pay that, so you gotta keep that open mind, right? And And it's $120 because, first of all, it's a Daniel Boulud restaurant. And it comes with a bunch of truffles in it, on it, over it, with it, truffle fries. It's just truffles for days, which also makes it seasonal, by the way. So we talk about seasonal stuff. That's seasonal. Right? This is actually the reason that I'm showing you this. This picture right here. That looks pretty good, right? That's just a pretty nice looking sandwich. Because you'll all notice when you start doing this week 6 assignment, one of the menu items that you will come across that I believe is a puzzle is a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. And it's expensive. It's like, I don't know, maybe $26 on that menu. So I want you to remember that just because you wouldn't have a $26 peanut butter and jelly sandwich on your menu doesn't mean that there's not the option. So instead of saying like, well, nobody's going to spend $26 on PB&J, it should be $4, right? Here's a PB&J. It is $300, right? And we're all like, what? I would never spend $300 on a PB&J. Somebody will, right? So you might spend $300 on something totally different. So I want you to keep that really open mind when you're doing these assignments, that you're not trying to take those items off the menu. You're trying to look at them and offer suggestions on keeping it on the menu just the way it is, but helping the profitability or helping the popularity of that menu item, okay? So getting rid of it, or that's crazy, you know, you guys can do this, keep that open mind, right? Because somebody is going to buy that $300 PB&J with the gold toothpicks in it. I don't think I would, but I'm open to the possibility. Maybe. Somebody gave me $300. So,
well, and it had a custom leather holder for your toothpicks.
For your gold toothpicks.
For your gold toothpicks. Custom leather gold toothpick. That's where your description is really coming in, right?
Right.
That gourmet egg brioche bread. Did you guys notice that? I like, as soon as I saw that, I noticed like, boom, gourmet egg brioche bread. Like,
yes.
Yeah.
And so that is basically what this assignment boils down to, is keeping an open mind. That think of it that you're not the one who wrote the menu. Think of it more like you're looking at sales data for somebody else and they want your expert opinion. And I think that might help with this particular assignment, because some people kind of get tied up in some of those items, like, that's just, well, it may be so, but again, you know, that's their business. You're just offering them your expertise. Well, here's what you could do to help your plow horse, or what you could do to help your dog on your menu. All right, so does anybody have any questions about the assignment? Again, it's just you're offering those suggestions on, again, if we're looking at popularity, what are we looking to do? Make that item look and sound better so more people want to order it. So you're going to offer them suggestions based on that. We're looking at profitability. They both start with P's and they're both long P words. It's really hard to get them not confused sometimes. So we're looking at profitability. We're looking at offering them suggestions on how they can lower their food cost, right? So see, I've already given you like a big old secret on how to answer both of those. So anyone who didn't watch this tonight, totally out of luck. So I really hope everyone watches this, because there's so much good information tonight. No question?
Yeah, any questions? I hope people watch it too, because what's the extra credit?
Oh, I forgot about that.
Submit it early. Submit early.
Submit early. And you get extra credit. And also to do the survey. Remember, that survey is still there. Do the survey. Does anybody have any questions for us?
You guys got this.
Yeah.
They got this.
Yeah, they do. And I want to say thank you. Thank you guys for being one of my very first classes that I got to teach here at Escoffier. I have really, really enjoyed these past 6 weeks with you guys. And thank you so much. I really, really enjoyed it. And I hope you guys enjoyed having both myself and Chef Suzanne. Suzanne's a pro, obviously.
You guys both did a good job.
Thank you very much. I had a very good time. You're all a very interactive group. which is super nice because it doesn't always happen where it's just like cricket, cricket. So it's nice when people talk and interact and raise hands and things. So I love that.
Yes, and I'm also looking forward to seeing all of you guys in entrepreneurship because you'll have me again.
I will not be there.
Yeah.
You did well,
And
Phil, for your
I'm
first
sorry, what?
time.
What, Lisa?
You did very well for your first time.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
She
It's
should.
it's been a lot of fun. So I hope you guys enjoyed it as much as I did, and I hope everybody has a fantastic break. Enjoy your holiday break. I always enjoy it. I like to go into sugar comas with the amount of food, you know, usually gain about like 10 pounds worth from eating desserts. I don't care. I'm proud of those 10 pounds. 10 pounds eating good food. So I hope everybody has a fabulous, fabulous break. And remember, when do we come back from break?
January 9th.
January 9th. Correct. What classes are you guys going to next?
Not sure.
Not sure. Yeah, I don't know either. But
Well, remember, I know that they'll all still be, or most of them, everybody in here is also still in 121.
oh, so yes, they'll be in 121. And so remember, January 9th, come back refreshed, excited to begin again. It's going to be great. Makeup assignments. Do them. Do them tonight. 11:59 p.m. Put them in there. And remember, you have to put in there, this is for week 1 or this is for week 2. You know, put that description so we know what we're looking at. And Chef Suzanne knows what she's looking at. And then your assignments are due on Sunday, 11:59 p.m. But extra credit if you do it on Saturday. So, you get credit. I hope
As
everybody.
always, if you have questions, make sure you reach out. Let me know. Message,
Exactly.
phone.
Hey, Chef, how about some closing words from Bob's Burger?
Bob's Burger.
Some closing words.
I got nothing. Oh my God.
Oh my gosh.
I know, really?
Thank you
Too much
both.
pressure.
No.
It was too much pressure, Amy. Too much pressure. Bye, y'all.
Bye, everybody. Have a great, great break. And it's been
Happy
so much-
holidays.
Yeah, happy holidays.